Hello, brothers, sisters, friends. Welcome to another Coffee Moments with the Father. And today we're going to continue on our series on the power of the Word of God. And we are going to talk about how to study the Bible. So today the topic on how to study the Bible is basically on learning to do mind mapping. Mind mapping our Bible study. First, let me read a verse for you in the book of Psalms, chapter 119, verse 9 to 11. How can a young man stay on his path of purity? By living according to your word. I will seek you with all my heart. Do not let me stray from your commands. I have hidden your word in my heart, and I may not sin against you. I really love this verse because it talks about how a person that we can learn to be pure with God. And the way that the psalmist put it is that if we hide the word of God, basically memorize it, basically put it in our heart, so that the word will guide us and will keep us pure. So when I think about hiding the word of God, when I think about really remembering it so that it can guide us, I think about this concept of mind mapping. So can I show you some pictures of mind mapping first so that you can understand what is mind mapping if you do not have any concept about it. All right, here are some pictures of mind mapping. Isn't that interesting? Very colorful. The first one is about time management. And then the second one is about tennis, learning to play tennis. And then the third one here is a mind map using a computer software, talking about their company and the company name and so on. So you can see there are many ways to do mind map. Of course, most people like to do mind mapping through drawing. Now, you might be thinking, why is mind mapping beneficial? There are three main reasons why do people do mind mapping. The first one, when you do mind mapping, it helps you to generate more ideas. And then the second reason why people like to do mind mapping is it helps you to remember better because it organizes your ideas in images and also in one particular place. Now for me, after I have learned about mind mapping, I've been also using this method to do some mind mapping about my own quiet time and my lesson. Let me show you a few pictures of my own personal mind map. Here's a mind map of a Bible study that I did on the danger of false doctrine from the book of Galatians. And the chapter that I was reading is chapter 1, verse 6 to 10. And then here's another mind map of the same book from the book of Galatians, chapter 5, verse 1 to 26, and where the title is called To Be Free. And here's another mind map that I did about God being a consuming fire. So those were some of the mind maps that I did. So why do I personally like to do mind maps? The reason is, number one, just as I shared with you earlier, the benefits of mind mapping is that, number one, it helps my thoughts to flow easily and quickly. And then secondly, it helps me to organize all my thoughts in one place. And I can look at my thoughts, my ideas through my Bible study. From number one, a helicopter view, I can see everything in one place. And then secondly, if I want to go into the specifics, then I look specifically into the details of the mind map in each of the subtopic itself. So it's very useful for myself. And then thirdly, because mind mapping comes in the form of image, it helps me to remember better what I have studied. So you might be thinking, what are the key ingredients that will help us to do a good mind map, especially in our Bible study? So I wrote down 6 key ingredients. Number one, you need to have a central idea. So we put the central idea in the middle that organize the whole thought together. And then number two, from the center idea, you need to have branches or rivers that flows. This is where the thoughts flows. The branches help you to flow into the other sub-thoughts. And then number three, color. Color is very important. Color helps us to remember things better. And our mind does not think in black and white, it thinks in color. So I have, in my mind map, I have different colors for different topics. Other people might do it differently, but that's how I like to do it. With each particular ideas, I have different colors. And then the other thing that is helpful is, instead of writing an entire statement, I write key words. Keywords help me to remember the entire thoughts. And then the other thing that helps is use images. Okay, you can see from here, like the word branches, I drew a little branch. And then the word color, I drew some color lines. And then the word keywords, I drew the object of a key. Even though the drawing is not particularly, prize winning, but it is my drawing that helps me to remember. Our mind tends to remember images better than just plain words. There's a saying, right? A picture paints 1,000 words. And finally, mind mapping, I personally like to use handwriting. You can use a program to do mind mapping, but I like to use handwriting because it helps me to remember better as I draw the mind map myself. So brothers and sisters, I hope that this is helpful for you to learn yourself how to do a mind map Bible study. So brothers and sisters, thank you very much for another Coffee Moments with the Father. I'll see you again. Bye.